This land is your land, and this land is my land, from the California to the New York Island, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I went a-walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway, saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps
Well,
to the
good
sparkling
morning,
sands
America.
of
It's
her diamond
Stuart Ryan,
desert.
right on the news,
All around
and we have
me
a
a
few
voice was
matters to take up
sounding.
here.
This
You
land was
notice the
made
headline
for you
is
and me.
Calls to Immediately Fire
When the sun
Attorney
comes
General Garland,
shining, then I was
and that for
strolling
his
through
gross
green fields
negligence
waving and
in
the dust
handling the
clouds
Trump indictments.
rolling.
And this is
A
breaking
voice
news
was
because there are
chanting
now
and a song
multiple
was
calls
lifting.
and
This
questions
land was
about the
made for you
DOJ's
and me.
behavior, and fresh calls to have
This
AG
land is
Garland
your land,
removed
and
from
this
his
land is
post
my
for
land,
his long
from
delayed legal actions
California to
to
the New York
investigate and prosecute
Island, from the
Donald J.
Redwood
Trump
Forest
for
to the
crimes
Stream
against the
waters.
U.S. Constitution,
This
as well as
land
under
was made
several
for you
federal
and me.
statutes. While I have no
When the sun comes
intention
shining,
to demean
I
the
was
man,
strolling
who I
through green
believe
fields
to be
waving
honorable,
and the dust clouds
his
rolling.
reliance on
The voice was
institutional
chanting and a
conventions
song was
and his
lifting.
concerns
This
over
land was made
perceptions
for
and
you and me.
appearances in respect to how the DOJ is seen and operates has had a catastrophic effect on the federal criminal trials that have already come far too late in the game and are now either stayed, as in the DC case of January 6th, or left in limbo, as in the case at Mar-a-Lago and retention of documents, obstruction of justice, etc., etc. It's come to my attention the New York Times recently reported, and this is according to Adam Schiff, and I quote, "I think that delay has contributed to a situation where none of these trials may go forward," citing the Justice Department's approach as a factor. "The department bears some responsibility," he said. I believe his remarks are a gross and very polite understatement of matters that are of significant consequence. And this is borne out by the Supreme Court's decision to review Trump's absurd claims of presidential immunity in the case. And this has now threatened to push the trial deep into the campaign season or beyond, raising the possibility that voters will have to make their choice between Trump and Biden in November without Trump's guilt or innocence being established, which in and of itself raises serious constitutional questions as well as serious risk to democracy's survival. It is unbelievable that it took the department nearly a year to focus on the actions contained in the indictment, ultimately brought by Jack Smith, the special counsel, Garland later named to oversee the prosecution. This includes systemic lies about election fraud, the pressure campaign on Vice President Mike Pence, the effort to replace legitimate state electors with fake electors, and, obviously, the monstrous insurrection on January 6th. So let's follow the timeline. On January 21st, 2021, Trump's newly inaugurated successor, Joe Biden, announced Garland's nomination to the post of Attorney General. On November 18th, 2022, Attorney General Merrick Garland finally announced the appointment of former career Justice Department prosecutor and former chief prosecutor for the special court in The Hague, Jack Smith, to serve as special counsel to oversee two ongoing federal criminal investigations. The first was the investigation as described in court filings in the District of Columbia into whether any person or entity unlawfully interfered with the transfer of power following the 2020 presidential election or the certification of the Electoral College vote held on or about January 6, 2021. The second was the ongoing investigation involving classified documents and other presidential records, as well as the possible obstruction of that investigation referenced and described in the court filings submitted in the now stalled Mar-a-Lago pending matter in the Southern District of Florida. On December 19th, 2022, the House Jan 6 committee urged the Justice Department to bring criminal charges against former President Donald Trump and his allies, wrapping up its investigation of the violent 2021 Capitol insurrection with what lawmakers called, and I quote, a roadmap to justice, unquote. Smith's team then sought an indictment from a grand jury in Florida, and on June 9th, 2023, that indictment was unsealed, charging Trump with 37 felonies and his longtime aide, Walt Nauta, with 6 felonies. Trump and Nauta pleaded not guilty. On July 27th, 2023, Smith's team unveiled a revised document known as a superseding indictment, adding 3 new felony charges against Trump and 2 new felony charges against Nauta. On August 1, 2023, the grand jury approved an indictment against Trump, charging him with an extraordinary conspiracy that threatened to disenfranchise millions of Americans. Now, it's been reported by the New York Times and others that officials in the Biden White House have long expressed private consternation with Garland's pace. The exasperated Select Committee, established by the House in 2021 to investigate what led to the January 6th riot and insurrection, made it an all but explicit goal to force the Justice Department to pursue the case more aggressively and to no avail. But like many before them, Garland and his team appear to have completely underestimated Trump's capacity for reinvention and disruption in these cases through delay after delay, and this never contemplated, which is astounding, the possibility that the Supreme Court would become a willing partner, along with Judge Eileen Cannon, in assisting Trump to evade accountability, either public or criminal. Moreover, given his track record, it seems that Mr. Garland and his advisors lack the requisite foresight, imagination, and political intuition to fulfill their roles in defending democracy, and he must go. Otherwise, as events unfold, and draconian action, as I've pointed out in a previous podcast, may be required in the near future, He will be an obstacle to that justice, to the rule of law, and the continuation of our democratic society in the face of an approaching tyranny should Trump come to power again. I thank you all for watching, and I'll try to get another podcast up about the recusal of our friend Judge Cannon in Florida, because that has gone too far. And no matter what happens, that recusal must be sought either by direct motion or by writ of mandamus. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you soon.